Hey there, it's me again, the beard from Osterholz, always happily drumming on things with my big orange hands. This one here also used to belong to me. Listen, break marks. This one doesn't belong to me either, so I'm only drumming very quietly. It comes from the same source as the Linden and Funke that I had here some time ago. You know, he digs them out from the very bottom of the cellar, and yeah, I'm supposed to sell them for him because he's really not getting along with computers at all and doesn't understand them at all. Yeah, and the advantage for me is I can always make a video of it first. And that's why I'm doing it now. Yeah, this thing is a bit older. It's not one, but yes, there's even an F sign on it. I looked around a bit because it's a bit flat, but here, the year of manufacture is 72, yes, I would say, after reading it out loud, there's really just the reading out loud. Here it just usually says caliber 4.5.177, a serial number, and an F sign. Then it says something like made in Germany. And then, typical for Diana, from a certain year of manufacture, it's really tiny. So it was made in August 1972. It also says Diana 5 and 30 on it, quite fittingly. So it was put together in August 1972. Diana 35 is also written on it, appropriately enough. And I think that wraps up the reading as well. Yeah, there's not much left to read, so let's take a look at the rest. Let's start with the wood. So first of all, it's strikingly black. I see a ton of dings and scratches here. Wait, from 72 makes it 52 years old. After about 52 years, there can definitely be scratches and dings. What I don't see, though, is any kind of brown under the scratches. After about 52 years, there can definitely be scratches and dings. What I don't see is any kind of brown underneath the scratches. That means there's a slight chance that this thing actually came into the world in black. I also see in the areas that usually aren't painted much, it's stained so dark, like a dark grey or something. So there's a possibility that this thing was actually black, but I don't want to rule out that there wasn't some kind of paint layer underneath at some point. I just don't see any. Yeah, we have a stock, very standard with checkering, which means it's always the same. It used to be a bit more expensive. We've got, and I always think this is really cool, these brown butt caps here at the back. I think they look very nice with the white accents. That used to cost extra at some point. At least there's one on it. It's cross-ribbed, it's Bakelite, plastic, no idea. And conveniently, it's straight. So that means if anyone plans to add an extension to this oldie, they can easily screw it in between here. The butt is, yeah, I really like it. It's okay. Length is okay. So for me, it could be another, 3 or 4 centimeters longer. But like I said, I'm not exactly the smallest person on this planet, so for most people, it might just fit normally. You can definitely feel that it's heavier than a Diana 25 or something like that, so it's definitely a different scale. Yeah, wood is already worn out. Next up is always the trigger. Let's see. So a trigger guard made of steel. Everything is naturally produced in Germany, you know. So of course everything is milled, everything is sunk. Tongue is hollow, it's a bent steel sheet. And up here we see a hole. A hole is always good. Down here are 2 adjustment screws. I'll hold them up for you. They're there as far as it goes without damaging anything. So, 2 adjustment screws that make it really easy to close in on an adjustable trigger. I don't know exactly what they're doing. Someone would have to take the trouble to look up a manual. Either you can adjust the trigger pull and weight, or what also exists, one screw is actually just for locking, and the other one is then responsible for the trigger weight. Yeah, with the Diana trigger. I don't know, there are 2 screws. They actually look more like 2 different adjustment screws. We'll try that out right away, of course. Then we have a Zephyr rail here, 11mm, and it's not milled in, but rather mounted on top. The rear sight is completely missing, and everything at the top is ribbed. And it's not milled in, but rather mounted on top. The rear sight is completely missing here, and everything at the top is ribbed. So there's a possibility that this thing was delivered with a diopter at some point, but I don't know, back in those days, I think they probably used a scope with a front sight. Grey is, interestingly enough, a tunnel front sight, or a front sight tunnel, however you want to call it, with a hooded front sight. As always, I want to point out that you're just a camera, which is why I can hold this thing right in front of your face, and you can't see anything at all. I'll try it this way. Yeah, it's just a regular hooded front sight, pointy like that, screwed on so it can be removed. And interestingly enough, it's this ribbed tunnel here. That means you can unscrew it and then, or loosen, and then you can take out this insert up here. For example, the existing hooded front sight. Replace it with a bar sight, with a ring sight. And that's why I would say it's definitely possible that the optic was mounted here, but right now there's nothing on it. Here you can hear the push rod. Again. And then I would say, let's get to the finer details, namely, opening it up. You won't see me opening it, because I always cut it off at about beard height. So you won't catch that. Just trust me. It's very easy and pleasant to open. Just trust me. It's really easy and pleasant to open. Yeah, you can hear a spring, but it's very subdued. The tension is, I would say, normal. So nothing that stands out. Now I'm trying to see if I can pull the trigger while it's cocked. That's why I'm holding this nice and steady. The take-up is relatively short. I would say about 1.5 mem. And then the final resistance is, yeah, it creeps a bit. Even gets a whole end. Oh yeah, but the trigger is nice. The trigger is buttery smooth. But it does creep a bit. That means you could probably adjust the screws so that the trigger travel is very, very short and very, very dry. But I haven't tried that. So I don't start messing around with things like that or hoping that I can get a better setting than the person who shot with it for 50 years before. Yeah, but it's a nice smooth trigger. Then let's just put a pencil in again and see what the compression tool makes of it. By the way, I can see here. Now, as I'm just squeezing the Diablo in, someone must have already replaced the seal here. It actually looks like new. Someone has definitely done something here. So far, I've only replaced very, very, very few seals, and I've found that for many, it's not just a simple O-ring, but sometimes it's this barrel-shaped thing, like really a few centimeters deep, that goes in there. Anyway, we're just pulling to the side along the barrel, once again with an extended practice, shot at the pellet trap. And I would say it's the same, so about 1.5 meter, just going by feel. It cleans, creeps a bit, and then breaks very pleasantly soft. Very nice. Then let's take a look at the numbers. I know you want to see something like this. So let's start with this. Here we have a Diana 5 and 30 serial number. No purchase price because I didn't buy it. So no new price either, because you can't get it new like that anymore. I've got about 5 joules energy now. I don't have to check the computer every time, because I've noted it down here in the list, since at some point I'll make a hit list of the muzzle energies. So around 5 joules, it can also be 5.2, 4.8, you know, around that range. And it says the manufacturing date is 2001. Not too complicated, right? And the 5 joules, I would say it could be that after a little over 50 years, the spring might be a bit worn out. It could be that possibly the seal might need a bit of oil. But it could also be that back then, nobody really cared whether the thing reached 7.5 joules or less, because no one could measure it anyway, at least not in a home setting. So it would be smart to sort all these target boards somehow so that I can actually reach them. So, whoops, right in the middle, there's a cut in the film, the shotgun is gone. And I just realized, what an idiot. I held up the wrong target to the camera. And even though it's written on top, I didn't notice it. So I'm now presenting the correct target for you. 10 shots sitting supported, 10 meters. The target for a barrel, per down. Yes? I think you can live with that, right? We shouldn't forget, this piece is over 50 years old. And I've had a whole lot on the table here. Just can't compete with this. Yeah, I would say it's just Diana, right? When I was little, I thought Diana was really lame because that name Diana, it just sounds so weak. Not something like Harakiri 2000 or anything, but Diana, the goddess of the hunt. Diana is logically marketed as Artemis in England. They're the same sleds from China, because Artemis is the Greek name for Diana. So the goddess of the hunt in Greek. And Diana is just the Roman version. Yeah, right. So, and now moving on. There, where I just cut it out. Now I'm kind of missing this part of the flow where I grab the tablet, but I don't really need it anymore. It's really always about the jewel stories. I've always got them on the list now. Yeah. What we can do just for fun. Oh, is it worth the effort? I mean, I can take a look at the run with this, but all you see are twisted trains. And unfortunately, what you hold up on the monitor here doesn't look that great visually. So a film tablet thing isn't really that great. 1000. I want to see if I can connect this thing, since it's all networked, to my computer somehow, so that I can mirror the image directly through the video software. And then we also have a much nicer image. But we only see twisted trains. They're usually always bare because lead shoots the rust right out of there. Yeah, well, yeah, folks, then I actually don't have much more to say. It feels so short. I haven't told everything yet. 12 minutes 21, but really very little. I did that paper. I have the card, I have the tablet. Virtually. And, yeah, I know, the beard is crooked. But I already referred to that in the capsule video. I'm just pointing out again for everyone who wants to tell me that my beard is crooked. The beard is crooked, I know that. Well, it's a nice oldie. And then I don't really have much more to say about it. 21. It is what it is. Well, then I'd say thanks for tuning in again. I'm just tapping lightly on it. And this time I won't explicitly mention that I'm the guy who has to turn off his camera all by himself without any help. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Until next time. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Until next time.